This is Riley calling from Folsom City for Metro 14. I just wanted to double check with, I believe I had Cheryl, so I could double check captioning with her. Okay. She got, she sent the test, but I was having issues trying to get the phantom power to the mic on so that she could hear me to make sure that she could hear. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. No, they're still in closed session. Awesome. I just wanted to make sure that she could hear audio through me so that we could, make sure. Yeah, I have a microphone in front of me. And yeah. Yeah, I'm doing a mic test. 1, 2, 3. Mic test. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. It's just, this mic is.
You. I'm waiting on her. We're still muted in here. Oh, there's the text from her. Hold on. Oops. Okay, she's going to start.
Okay, we will reconvene the special meeting. Mr. City Attorney, is there any final action to report out? Adjourn the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council on Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Here.
Sheldon,
Here.
Gaylord,
Here.
Howell,
Here.
and Aquino.
Here, and if you all would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
United States of America. Okay, any agenda updates?
You have no agenda updates this evening.
Okay, and I know we have a few members of the public who would like to speak on business from the floor. So, Krista, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, you had 2 comments submitted by email. The first is from Jill Huckabee, and Jill writes, how does the city of Folsom plan to help their small businesses stay open? These businesses that employ staff and that contribute sales tax revenue to the city. Are we planning any low-interest loan programs like our neighboring cities of Rancho Cordova and Roseville? Warmest regards, Jill Huckabee. Your second comment from the floor tonight comes from Mark Moore, and Mr. Moore writes, I cannot be in attendance tonight at the City Council chambers, but I am nevertheless compelled to recognize the exemplary work performed by our police and fire department personnel during this unprecedented crisis. As my kids grew up, I gave them all the same script, that there are 3 true-life heroes in this world, and they're not the famous celebrities that they might otherwise think of. They are firefighters, police officers, and teachers. Now, teachers will have their time again soon. When our children return to school, teachers will have the monumental task of instilling confidence and providing guidance for our children's readmission into a world of the new normal. They will play a huge hand in our kids' recovery and indirectly ours as well. But for now, it's the firefighters, police officers, and all of the emergency medical response personnel, including, of course, the doctors and nurses in our hospitals, that are literally putting their own lives on the line for us all, as they often do nonetheless, and they more than deserve our eternal gratitude and respect. Our own Chief Rodriguez and Chief Hillman are exceptional leaders who, along with the unbelievably courageous and highly skilled women and men under their command, allow us all to sleep better during this unnerving time with the confidence that they got us covered, and we know that we'll be okay because of their sacrifices. As a retired firefighter, naturally, I proudly consider firefighters and police officers as my dear family, but they are also my heroes. Lastly, I would very much like to see the City of Folsom proclaim someday in the not-too-distant future as Public Safety Awareness Day to acknowledge and honor our protectors and caregivers, in part because of their incredible valor during this crisis, but more importantly because of what they do for our community and citizenry every single day that all too often goes otherwise underappreciated. Thank you, Mark Moore. And Madam Mayor, you have no further...
Thank you. Krista, if you would forward to me Ms. Huckabee's contact information, I would like to respond to her. Was there any other member of the public wishing to speak?
There are no further members to speak under business from the floor.
Okay. Then we're going to move on to the consent calendar. I'm going to pull item number 7 because we do have a comment letter on that one. Does anybody else have anything they want to pull?
I'll move consent. This is Roger. I'm good. Second.
Okay, I guess nobody else wants to pull anything. So, Carrie, you're going to move consent with the exception of item number 7. Roger is seconding
Correct.
it. With the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. And we can go to item number 7, Krista.
Sure. So item number 7 is Toll Brothers at Folsom Ranch, and there are 4 ordinances related to this item. Ordinance number 1301, 1302, 1303, and 1304. This item is being pulled this evening at the request of Mark Moore, who would like to submit the following public comments. First, my heartfelt thoughts and best wishes to the city leadership and staff, friends, and colleagues during this difficult time. It is my understanding that all are healthy at this time, which is a blessing. Stay safe. I have concerns regarding the Toll Brothers Folsom Ranch project. It is an active adult community with seemingly adequate external amenities, yet it falls short when it comes to personal living space, the home and the property. According to the proposed plan, the number of homes seems more dense than necessary. I believe one contributing factor could be that the homes are generally far too large than many seniors desire. Most advanced age adults are looking to downsize rather than maintain a large home. And with large homes, the lot sizes are so tight that there basically is no backyard, no front yard, and no side yard to speak of. Toll Brothers claims that their buyers do not want a yard to take care of and that they can simply walk to the external amenities, park, pool, clubhouse, etc., if they want to get out of the house. But I believe that most folks would prefer as an option to at least be able to sit out on their front or back porch, perhaps sipping coffee and enjoying looking out over their personal garden, etc. And some will not or physically cannot make the trek to the external amenities. What options are they left with? So what about this idea? The plot size stays the same, but with smaller, more desirable size homes allowing some outdoor space for personal use. By the way, there isn't even enough adequate space on the side or back for trash recyclable cans to be kept. Toll Brothers thereby recommends that the cans be stored in the garage. Think about that for a moment. Further, there are some serious concerns about adequate sewage lines, unusual grading challenges, and excessive tree removal. And I would encourage a candid conversation with Fire Chief Rodriguez to confirm that emergency response access is acceptable. Not going to name names, and perhaps it is not recommendable to recall a Planning Commission decision, but I have reason to believe that if given a redo opportunity, that the Planning Commission might likely reverse their decision and would not allow this project to move forward without further and more completely addressing many or all of the issues that I have raised here. And if I am correct about that, then isn't it the City Council's obligation to now thoroughly scrutinize this project before approving it as is, in order to improve its lasting impact on the environment, our community in general, and the quality of life for those who will eventually live here? Thank you, Mark Moore.
Okay, thank you. We had quite an extensive discussion about this at whatever council meeting that was, and I know many of us watched the Planning Commission meeting. So does anybody have any comments or questions about this? Mr. Van Dam from Toll Brothers, I believe, is on the line if we need him to address anything.
And I'd like to add that Community Development Director Pam Johns is on the line as well.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, this is Stephen Wang, your city attorney. Recall that the City Council as a body approved the project design and the subdivision map along with the general plan amendment and specific plan amendment on March 10, 2020. The design of the subdivision had already been approved. What's before you tonight are the second reading of the 4 ordinances for the development agreement amendments to document land use changes to portions of the property outside the Toll Brothers subdivision, and also park dedication and park land allocation. This is not, Mr. Moore's comments do not have any relevancy to the second reading of the ordinance presented before you tonight.
Okay, thank you. We do need to have a motion on each ordinance. So are there any questions from any council members?
No, I have a comment. And this is kind of historical information. Even when we actually did still have an architecture review committee, I don't recall any instance ever in the 26 years that I've been involved in the city government that we ever came forward with having a discussion about the size of the home. I'm going to trust that Toll Brothers has done their homework on the marketing side, and having had friends that have lived in and still live in senior living communities like this, this is intended to be an active adult community, so I'm going to disagree with Mr. Moore's comments. And with that, I'll move ordinance 1301.
Second. This is Councilmember Gaylord's second, but I think his comments were actually geared towards the land size, not the house size.
He said house size.
What? He said to keep the lot the same size but make the houses smaller. So, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, then please call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Do
I'll
we have a
move
motion for ordinance?
1302.
Okay.
Second. Second.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes.
I'll move 1303.
Okay, and I'll second
Second.
for ease of. Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes.
And I'll move 1304.
Okay, and I'll second it. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Please call the next item, Krista.
Okay, your next item this evening is public hearing item number 17. This is resolution number 10399, a resolution to amend the Empire Ranch specific plan. We will have Principal Planner Steve Banks presenting tonight, and for those of you following along, the PowerPoint presentation begins on page 390 of your staff report.
Thank you, Krista. Steve Banks with the Community Development Department. Good evening, Mayor Aquino and council members. I'm giving a brief presentation this evening on the Empire Ranch Specific Plan Amendment, whose purpose is to make some minor adjustments to development standards within Empire Ranch Specific Plan. Krista, we could go to the next slide on page 390. That would be great. Or sorry, 391. So in the vicinity map, this specific plan amendment is intended only to apply to the two home subdivisions within Empire Ranch. As you see on the vicinity map, the first area is Lakeview Oaks Estates, shown in the 4 blue circles. And the second area is Hillcrest subdivision, shown in the 4 red circles to the west. And again, these are the only areas to which this specific plan amendment is intended to apply. So we can go to the next slide, please, on 392. The Empire Ranch specific plan was approved back in the early 90s, back in 1992. And at that time, design guidelines were approved, as well as development standards for residential development within the area. A number of years later, in 2000, the council approved an amendment to the specific plan. And one of those changes to the specific plan to establish separate development standards for different sub areas within the plan area, or villages as other people call them. We can move to the next slide, please, on 393. So some of the key details of the proposal this evening: the applicant, who is Elliott Homes, by the way, is proposing 3 specific modifications or changes to the plan. The first proposed change is to increase the number of stories for single-family residences from 2 stories to 2.5 stories. Currently, the Empire Ranch specific plan has specific language that dictates that the maximum number of stories is 2 stories. So the applicant is proposing to change that from 2 stories to 2.5 stories to match that of those standards in the Folsom Municipal Code, and also to assist in developing on steeply sloped lots. I would note that the maximum building height of 35 feet is not changing. It's simply requesting to increase the number of allowable stories from 2 to 2.5. The second requested is to increase the maximum lot coverage only for single-story homes within the Empire Ranch specific plan area within these 2 areas from 45 to 50% to encourage more flexibility in the building design of single-story homes within these areas. And lastly, the third request is to allow single-story or one-story residences that are located on downslope lots only to build out their basement area to a maximum of 25% of the floor area of the primary floor area. Chris, could we go to slide 394, please, or page 394? Page 394 simply illustrates the actual changes that will occur in the specific plan itself. And again, so this is for the Hillcrest custom lot area, villages 48, 49, and 50. And these are the tables and text that will be changed in the specific plan as it pertains to Hillcrest. As you can see, changing the lot coverage from 45. It's changing the max building height. Now, I'm not changing the height of 35 feet, that stays the same, but changing it to 2.5 stories, whereas currently it's 2 stories. And then in the notes section at the bottom there, we're again describing those changes. In addition, the last statement says that single-family residents on downslope lots are allowed to build a bottom-level basement to a maximum of 25% of the floor area of the primary area. We go to the next slide, 395. This is the exact same language, but this is applying to the other sub-areas or villages. And this is applicable for the Hillcrest custom home lot area. I'm sorry, the Lakeview Oaks Estates custom home lot area. And again, the exact same language that we saw on the prior slide. We go to the next slide on page 396, please, Krista. In terms of staff's analysis of the first request to increase the number of allowable stories from 2 to 2.5 stories, one of the more important factors is they're simply trying to match that requirement that is the Folsom Municipal Code. And the Folsom Municipal Code currently allows homes to be 2.5 stories, not to exceed 35 feet. So with this request, the applicant simply requesting that the Empire Ranch specific plan mimic the requirements already established in the Folsom Municipal Code. Also, in looking at the request, this is consistent with the near subdivisions in the project area, those being Broadstone Unit Number 3, as well as the Parkway subdivision. This change is consistent with those 2 subdivisions. As I referenced a number of times earlier, they are not proposing to change the maximum building height of 35 feet. They're simply moving up to 2.5 stories from 2 stories. And in fact, Empire Ranch is probably the only location within Folsom where currently you could not do a 2.5 story home, whereas everywhere else within the city you could do a 2.5 story residence. Staff did not identify any visual impact, and in fact, we feel that the building design of these homes will be improved because you'll actually have architectural features on the bottom levels of these homes, such as windows and shutters and awnings, as opposed to large stem walls that currently exist out there on the bottom floors of these homes. We go to the next slide, please. Page 397. The second request in staff, in looking at the second request to increase the maximum lot coverage only for single-story homes. This is a slightly higher figure than currently exists in the Folsom Municipal Code. And in fact, the Folsom Municipal Code currently does not differentiate between single-story and 2-story homes. The maximum lot coverage is 35%. As I mentioned, the Empire Ranch requirement currently is 45% for single-story homes. If we look at more recent subdivisions in the Folsom Plan area, a number of those subdivisions have lot coverage figures that are similar or higher to this request. 50%, 55% for lot coverage is not common in Manistee Ranch as well as Russell Ranch. Also, if you look at the surrounding subdivisions, most notably Broadstone Unit Number 3 and the Parkway, their lot coverage maximums are fairly similar to what's being requested by homes. Go to the next slide, page 398, please. The last request, and this really pertains mostly to the Lakeview Oaks Estates subdivision, is a request to allow single-story residences that are located on downslope lots to build out their basement or lower area of the residence to a maximum of 25% of the floor area of the primary floor of the residence. This request is consistent with the Folsom Municipal Code, which doesn't regulate building out of downslope basement areas. It's also similar to the Parkway development standards in Broadstone Unit Number 3, which don't have any limitations on the building out of these lower areas on single-story homes. And we really believe it will actually enhance the appearance of the single-story homes on these downslope lots. And I've got some photographs I'll show you in a couple slides, which show you what happens when you have a single-story home on a downslope lot is you have a very large stem wall towards the back of the property and the rear of the property. And with this change, we believe that people will actually create a usable space. They'll be able to use some of the basement area as habitable space. And they'll also add architectural features to this area where currently exists a stem wall. Again, maybe now you will have windows, shutters, other architectural features which will improve the aesthetics of the residence. We can go to the next slide, please. Page 399. Again, the amendment only applies to the Hillcrest subdivision and the Lake Oaks Estate subdivisions, which are the two custom lot areas within Empire Ranch. We go to page 400, please. This is a photograph of an existing residence in the Hillcrest subdivision, and it's actually located in the Broadstone portion of the Hillcrest subdivision. And so this home today could not be built in those two areas of Empire Ranch, which I referenced, because this is a 2 1/2 story residence. So with the change, this evening, you could build a home like this and have a 2 1/2 story residence. If we could go to the next slide, please, page 401 in your pack. This is a photograph of a single-story home in the Lakeview Oaks Estate subdivision. It's on a downslope lot. As you can see, towards the back of the residence, there's a large hall, step wall, and very little architectural features on the bottom level there because this is considered a single-story home, and currently we don't allow them to build out that lower area of the residence. We go to the next slide, page 402, please. And this is a photograph of the rear of one of these single-story downslope residences in Lakeview Oaks Estates. As you can see now, we have a doorway into the crawl space of the basement area with some stairs. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot of interest going on in the back of this elevation. And with this change, again, we think we see windows and other features which would open up these homes. We'll go to the next slide, please, on page 403. The project was presented to the Planning Commission at its February meeting. There were no members of the public at this meeting to speak on this project. The Planning Commission talked about a number of top issues, mostly seeking clarification about existing height limit requirements and how building height is measured and things like that. The Commission was fully supportive of the project and voted 7-0 to recommend approval to the Council this evening of the project. We can go to the next and final slide, please. Page 404. As staff does forward the Planning Commission's recommendation to Council for approval this evening. I would also note that the project Price Walker of Elliott Homes is on the line this evening. He doesn't have anything to add. He said we'd be happy to answer any questions he might have this evening. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Well done. Anybody have any questions for either Mr. Banks or Mr. Walker, who's on the line? And if I could just request that you mute your phone if you're not talking, we could get rid of some of the background noise here.
Madam Mayor, this is Mike Kozlowski. I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes.
Okay. The for Steve, the purpose of the 25% limitation on the, as you put it, build out of the basement, is that basically mean they can finish 25% of what would normally be called a basement and still call it a basement?
That's correct. And there are a number of reasons this is being requested by the applicant. What's been occurring over the last year or two in this subdivision is that a number of people are buying these homes, and then after the fact, they're coming along and without permits, they're building out the basement area on the lower level to create more livable, usable space. And in terms of the aesthetics of the home will actually improve with this change. They won't have a negative change. Those stem walls will go away and be replaced with little features. But to answer your question, yes, it means they can create 25% habitable space in these basement areas on these particular homes.
So if you were to, just to extend that question, if you were to build a space within the perimeter of the house that was more than 25% of the floor overhead, they could have some portion unfinished and 25% finished, or the entire space of the basement can't exceed 25% of the floor above.
We would simply be looking at the habitable finished area in that 25% calculation.
Okay, so this is about the distinction between habitable versus true, like, unfinished basements that's for storage or utilities of some kind. Is that
correct?
True? Okay, very good. Thank you. That answers my question.
Yeah. Welcome.
Any other questions for Steve or for Price?
Yeah, I had a question on one of those pictures of the single family. Am I looking at a 4-car garage?
I'm sorry, Ernie, could you repeat your question, please?
Okay, on one of the film, and I don't see the number on this, wasn't it? 17 minutes.
It's page 401.
Okay, 401. They had the 4-car garage.
It's actually a 3-car garage.
That's a 3-car.
Well, it looks like there's a car on the right-hand side here that's open door. There's a car inside there, I think. That looks like a 4-car garage
No,
to me.
the door's closed, Ernie. I can see the windows.
On the right-hand side?
Yeah, the door's closed. I can see the windows.
Okay, I just...
It's just a weird angle. Ernie, it's a weird angle because of the way they constructed the very front of the house. So you can only see part of that single car garage. The single car, I think, is on the left.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well,
If there's
this
no other
is a
questions,
public...
I'll move the resolution. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was it, Roger?
Nope, go for it. I was going to move the resolution, but go for it. Public hearing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody on the line, or Krista, anybody in the chambers who wants to speak to this item?
No, you have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, closing the public hearing in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move resolution 10399 if there's no other questions or comments.
Second.
I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and unless we have any other discussion, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please, Krista.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Price.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Steve. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next, please.
Your next item this evening is old business item number 18, resolution number 10411, a resolution of the City Council confirming emergency order DES 02-20 issued by the Director of Emergency Services. And your presenter tonight will be City Manager Elaine Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. As I reviewed with each of you by telephone recently, in my role as your city manager and also Folsom's Director of Emergency Services, I issued Emergency Order DES-02-20 on April 1st, 2020. You should see it as Attachment 2 in your packet for this item, which is on page 412. As you know, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Governor of the State of California declared a state of emergency on March 4th. The Sacramento County Board of Supervisors ratified the declaration of a state of emergency by the county health officer on March 10th, and you as the Folsom City Council declared the existence of a local emergency on March 16th. As your city manager and emergency services director, I am empowered to make and issue rules and regulations to reasonably related to the protection of life, environment, and property as affected by this emergency. Just as a review and in brief, my emergency order DES-02-20 stated that the city facilities we had already closed due to the COVID-19 emergency will remain closed until further notice, and those facilities are listed in Exhibit A on page 414 of your packet. As of April 1st, 2020, all non-essential permanent city employees shall continue to stay at home until further notice and follow the state and Sacramento County stay-home orders. Said employees shall be provided paid administrative leave and be subject to work assignments as determined by their department director. All permanent city employees performing essential services shall continue to report to work locations and perform their duties. And effective April 1st, 2020, an emergency leave benefit, which is described in Exhibit B on page 1415 of your packets, was implemented on a temporary basis for permanent full-time and permanent part-time non-public safety city employees. I greatly appreciated the support of this emergency order that you expressed to me when I shared its content with you before issuance. And now, consistent with our municipal code, which dictates that such emergency rules and regulations must be confirmed by the City Council at the earliest practicable opportunity, I respectfully ask that you pass and adopt Resolution 10411, a resolution of the City Council confirming emergency order DES-02-20 issued by the Director of Emergency Services. My entire executive management team is on this call, and we are all available to you for any questions. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, any questions for Elaine?
No, this is Roger. I would just like to say thank you for everything you've done and all the information you've put forth for us and the city, and all the mitigations and the posts that you guys have made. Your staff is top-notch, so thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you, Councilmember Gaylord. I will pass those thanks along to the entire city team.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we will entertain a motion.
I'll move Resolution 10411.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes, thank you. Next item, please.
Your next item this evening is new business item number 19. This is regards to Community Facilities District number 23, also referred to as Folsom Ranch. You have resolution number 10414, declaring intention to form CFD number 23 and levy special taxes, and resolution number 10415, declaring the necessity for incurring bonded indebtedness and calling for a public hearing. Presenting tonight will be Finance Director Stacy Tamani.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. This is Stacy Tamani, Finance Director. There are no slides in your packet tonight for this item, although I will refer to page 622. That is the boundary map, so we could make our way to that before I get to it. I'm presenting tonight on the formation of Community Facilities District number 23, Folsom Ranch. Landowners within the Folsom Plan area have requested that we form this district. Formation is subject to the Melrose Act and city policies regarding land secured financing districts. The council is being asked to approve the CFD 23 boundary map, which I mentioned is included in your packet on page 622. The CFD is included within the area bordered by White Rock Road to the south, Placerville Road to the east, Highway 50 to the north, and also includes an area of parcels west of East Bidwell Street. The CFD includes 6 separate improvement areas designated as improvement area number 1 through improvement area number 6. The improvement areas have varying amounts of parcels within them, ranging from 3 to 22 parcels. The development within each of these improvement areas will include a mix of residential densities and some non-residential acreage, depending on the improvement area, for a total in the project of 184 single-family units, 1,969 single-family high-density units, 1,406 multifamily low-density units, 19.2 acres of multifamily medium-density acreage, 36.9 acres of multifamily high-density acreage, and 11.4 acres of non-residential acreage. This CFD is intended to provide funding for the Public Facilities Financing Plan backbone infrastructure and facilities, and also project-specific maintenance services. The infrastructure and facilities to be financed are transportation improvements, water and recycled water system improvements, wastewater and drainage system improvements, parkway, and open space improvements, and payment of the specific plan infrastructure fee program obligation. For the project-specific maintenance services, they include landscape corridor, enhanced open space and streetlight maintenance, medians, entries and entry monumentation, neighborhood parks, community amenities, and also stormwater management within this project area. And for this CFD, the funding stream will be a combination of bonds and pay-as-you-go funding. The financing plan is structured in 2 ways. There will be a facility special tax levied through fiscal year 2080 at the council's discretion and will be increased annually by 2%. The maximum facility special tax ranges from $2,900 on a low-density multifamily home to $3,886 on a low-density single-family home. And the second part of the financing plan is the services special tax for the project-specific maintenance services, and this will be levied in perpetuity unless the council determines that it's no longer needed. And this will increase annually by the CPI, not to exceed 4%. The maximum services special tax ranges from $85 to $210 for all residential units. With these special taxes, the assessed parcels in this CFD will have a property tax that is within your policy of 2%, with estimated ranges from 1.84% to 1.9% of estimated assessed value of the property. Your approval of resolution number 10414 and resolution number 10415 would begin the proceedings for the creation of CFD 23. Resolution number 10414 will appoint consultants, approve the boundary map, declare the intention to form CFD number 23, and authorize the city to levy special taxes within the district. Resolution number 10415 declares the necessity to incur bonded indebtedness within each improvement area of CFD number 23 and calls for a public hearing. If these resolutions are approved tonight, a public hearing will be scheduled along with an election of owners of the property within CFD number 23 for May 26, 2020. And that concludes my presentation on this item tonight. I do have my CFD formation team on the line if you have any questions.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions for Stacy or her team?
I have no questions.
Okay.
Do you need to
doesn't
open the
sound like
public
we have-
hearing?
No, that's not on this meeting. That would be in May, correct, Krista?
That is correct.
Okay, in which case I'll move resolution 10414.
Second.
Second.
Okay. I assume there's nobody at the chamber or on the line who wants to speak on this item. So go ahead and call the roll, Krista.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes.
And I'll move resolution 10415.
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Thank you, Stacy and your team. Moving right along, please call the next item.
Your next item is item number 20, resolution number 10410. This is a resolution approving an affordable housing loan from the city's housing fund to Bidwell Place LP and authorizing the use of sewer fee credits for the construction of 75 affordable housing units. Presenting tonight will be Senior Planner Stephanie Henry, and for those of you following along, your PowerPoint presentation begins on page 816.
Whenever you're ready, Stephanie.
Stephanie, you might be muted on your phone. If you could unmute.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Stephanie. Go ahead.
All right. So this is Stephanie Henry, Community Development. As Krista stated, can you please turn to page 816 of your City Council packet to follow along with the presentation. This next item is Resolution 10410, which pertains to a request by St. Anton for approval of an affordable housing loan for the Bidwell Place project, affordable housing project, as well as approval of sewer fee credits. Next slide, please. Page 817. So a bit of background. The Bidwell Point project, which is a mixed-use affordable housing project, was approved in 2017 by the city and completed in 2019 by St. Anton. This project includes 140 multifamily units. 100 of these units are for low-income households, with 40 units being market rate. As previously indicated, it is a mixed-use project, so there are also, or it also includes 7 live-work units, as well as 800 square feet of commercial space. The project was financed with 4% non-competitive tax credits, as well as a $5.3 million loan from the city's housing fund. This project leased out extremely rapidly and far exceeded the developer's expectations. Basically, it showed a great need in the community and specifically in this area of the community to provide for affordable housing, as well as mixed-use type of projects that are close to schools, the historic district, our trail system, light rail, etc. So based on the great success of Bidwell Point, the developer, St. Anton, has decided to propose a second phase of the project, which is going to be called Bidwell Place. This project is basically kitty corner to the Bidwell Point project. So if you look at the right-hand side of your slide, you can see the two different projects outlined in the black. And the Bidwell Place, you can see how they actually kind of touch at the corner. This will be an area of connection between the two projects. It will be a pedestrian access so that both projects can share basic amenities such as the swimming pool, clubhouse, etc. The proposed Bidwell Place project has 75 multifamily units. 100% of these units are for low-income individual households. They include 9 studio units, 39 one-bedroom units, as well as 27 two-bedroom units. This project also proposes to utilize the 4% non-competitive tax credit funding and is requesting a $4.15 billion loan from the city's housing fund. Next slide, please. This is page 818 of the packet. This slide shows to the left a site plan for the proposed Bidwell Place project. And to the right is a rendering that shows both the Bidwell Point project to the kind of left-hand side of the rendering and the Bidwell Place project. This project, again, will also be a mixed-use project. If you look at the right-hand portion of the slide, there's a building with a white rooftop. That is the existing Bank of America, located at 403 East Bidwell Street. The proposal by the project applicant is to remove a portion of the existing building. Bank of America does not utilize the entire building, so the applicant would be retaining the portion of the building that Bank of America resides in and then demoing the other portion. And then behind Bank of America, as you can see if you follow maybe closer to the Bidwell Point site plan to the left of the slide, is 3 separate apartment buildings. The architecture of these buildings is proposed to complement and match the existing Bidwell Point project. I might also mention that this project was scheduled to be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission in March, but due to COVID-19 restrictions, that meeting actually was canceled. So the project is scheduled to go before the Planning Commission in May now, as far as the actual design review. But because the applicant is on a very tight schedule as far as securing all the different pieces for the funding, staff felt it was imperative to move this project, or to keep this project on schedule for tonight's meeting. Next slide, please. Page 819. So with regards to the housing loan request, in evaluating the applicant's request in the amount of $4.15 million to facilitate the development of the 75-unit affordable housing project, the city contacted our consulting firm TDA to conduct a detailed review of the developer's financial pro forma. Based on the consultant's review, the project's assumptions, methodologies, and calculations were evaluated for reasonableness and accuracy. In addition, secondary sources of information were consulted to confirm and or validate the pro forma. And based on TDA's review, they felt that the $4.15 million loan request was reasonable. In addition, as you can see in this slide, the request is equivalent to approximately $55,000 per unit, which is comparable to other projects that the city has approved, such as Bidwell Point for $53,000 per unit, Forestwood, which was $54,000 per unit, and then St. Anton's Granite City Apartments located on Sibley Street, which was $51,000 per unit. Next slide, please. So with regards to the loan term on page 820 of the packet, once again, the request is for $4.15 million from the city's housing fund. It's important to note that the city's housing fund has monies in it that are earmarked specifically for housing projects and or housing programs. These monies come from a variety of sources, including the city's inclusionary housing fees associated with single-family development. There's a commercial housing trust fund fee that's associated with new commercial development, as well as previous bond funds that were approved under the city's former redevelopment agency. So this loan amount request in the amount of $4.15 million is basically similar to the Bidwell Point project in terms of how this loan is structured. It will be a 3% simple interest, 35-year repayment term. Initial repayment will begin in year 11 with an increasing share of the cash flow, and the full amount of the loan is due at the end of the 35-year term. I'd also like to point out that if the City Council does decide to move forward with this request for $4.15 million, the city still has approximately $4.7 million in housing funds to use in the future for other housing programs and or projects. So this will not be completely depleting all of our housing monies by approving this loan. Next slide, please. This is page 81. Similar to the Bidwell Point project, as well as other affordable housing projects that the city has approved financing for, Bidwell Place is requesting the authorization of up to 60 sewer-free credits. These credits are one of the city's primary economic development incentives. They reduce construction costs, and thus they also reduce the financial subsidy needed for the project. The city does have sufficient credits available for this program and will be recommending approval of the sewer-free credits.
I have a question on the
slide,
sewer fee credits.
Sure.
I'm probably asking this, and you may not know the answer, but do we know how many additional sewer fee credits we have? Because I know that Regional SAN has discontinued the program, so we were able to maintain the credits that we had at the time that the district eliminated that program. What do we have left?
Okay. Right. So I think we might have up to 90 left after this. I'd have to confirm with Steve Cron, who may be on the line. Not certain. I can also look that up after this presentation.
Yeah, if you could get back to me on that. It doesn't need to be tonight, but if you could get back to me and let me know what we have remaining.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that the sewer fee credits were through the end of 2020, but I can confirm that as well.
No, well, the Regional SAN eliminated the program a couple of years ago, but everybody that had remaining sewer credits was able to keep them and use them.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm asking how many we have left.
Okay, I'll get back to you with that for sure.
Okay, because it's also a good incentive for new business to come into town if we have the ability to offset some of this sewer fee cost. Thanks.
You bet. Okay, so the next slide we will be on is page 822. Development impact fee deferral. Once again, this is similar to the request that was put in place by the Bidwell Point project and other affordable housing projects. Basically, since this is a 100% affordable project, it qualifies to be eligible to receive a development impact fee deferral associated with city-imposed development impact fees. The total estimated development fees for this impact fees for this project is $1.25 million, and since 75% is the max they could apply for, that would leave about $940,000. I also would note that per the city's ordinance, any fee deferral that was provided would have to be repaid within 15 months from building permit issuance. Next slide, please. Page 823. So in closing, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt resolution number 10410 to approve an affordable housing loan in the amount of $4.15 million and authorize the use of sewer credits for the project. In addition, I would like to let you know that the applicant, Artie Zahadani, is on the line if you have questions for him. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Stephanie. Artie, do you have anything that you want to say?
Maybe I'll just take 30 seconds, Mayor and Council. This is Artie Zahadani with St. Anton. I just really want to thank staff for how quickly they got us here. It's imperative for us to get in front of the State Tax Credit Allocation Committee and the Debt Limit Allocation Committee, and if you don't have a complete application, including your financing commitments, then you're not allowed to proceed, and it is highly competitive this year, and your staff moved mountains to get us here, and you know, that's one of the reasons we're able to create so many units in Folsom. This will be our third project, and as Stephanie mentioned, our second project, Bidwell Point next door, has been the most successful we've had in our company's 25-plus year history. Every single unit was leased before we opened. Just a small tidbit for you, now that we're in economic crisis, in a lot of our communities, we're getting requests for forbearance of rent. And in this project, I think we've had one request. And frankly, that's because these units are made so the rent is 30% of a person's income, so that even if you do lose some or all of your income, you typically have the resources that are sufficient to pay your rent. So we're very proud of that. I just would like to tell you two quick things that we're excited about. We're introducing an ELI studio unit into this mix, which will be about $455 for a brand new studio, including your utilities. There's nothing like that in the region that we're aware of. And we're keeping the bank in place for the long term. We have a great relationship with the bank, and we're adding a pedestrian walkway that we'll talk to the Planning Commission about, that will connect us through Coles to Riley and then to our other project next door. It's going to require coordination with Coles, and we're pushing hard. If that doesn't work, then the connection wouldn't be there, but we're doing everything we can, and we think it's going to happen. So again, thank you for everything you're doing. We're confident that if we earn your support this evening, we can start construction in 3 to 4 months and bring these units on in about 12 months after that. So right when hopefully the economy will be in good shape again, we'll have housing for those folks who need it most. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Any questions for Stephanie or Artie? And let's just go down the line. Roger, do you have any questions?
No, and Artie, first of all, staff, thank you so much for expediting this and putting this, I mean, this is what this fund is for, ensuring that we have affordable housing and options in general in Folsom and allocating those funds accordingly. And Artie, thank you for, your vision and what you're putting through as far as how, the connection in the CBD for the Central Business District, as far as how people could maybe understand, there's 75 units coming on board, yet you're creating connection into businesses from those units. And when you told me that that rate of, one person asking for, some sort of mitigation with rent, I mean, that's astonishing, in this time, in what we're dealing with right now. So thank you so much for putting this project forward, and staff, thank you for putting this on board. So I appreciate everything. I don't have any questions. I just had an uplifting comment, so thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Mike, what about you? Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one question, and I want to say first, though, I'm super excited about this. I'm really glad everybody was able to get this to us as rapidly as possible. I am unfamiliar myself with the way that the repayment strategy is structured, and I'm just wanting to understand what is available cash flow in the outer years. And the amount, the interest rate is relatively low, but it seems like a lot of interest over that long period of time if there are no payments in the first 10 years. So I'm just wondering how that works, and staff or Artie, if you can just give me a quick primer on how this makes sense.
Yeah, sure. I'll start, Stephanie, and if you want to add, please jump in. But the history of affordable housing financing in California was really based on redevelopment agencies using tax increment to essentially make grants to affordable housing projects, because so you have these tax credits that are your equity, and you have these tax-exempt bonds that are giving you very aggressive financing with long-term rates that are much more aggressive than the private marketplace. But there's always, almost always, going to be a gap in soft funds that you need to make the project operate, because as I mentioned earlier, there may be 30 to 70% less in rental income than you would in market rate projects. So when redevelopment agencies went away and the governor took away that source of funding, cities started collecting funds through in lieu fees, and those in lieu fees went into these trust funds that they're able to give out loans or grants. Folsom has given out a couple of grants to other projects, but what happens if you take a grant? Then it's considered a public gift, and it triggers prevailing wages in some cases. So most developers, because they want to keep the bang for the buck as great as possible, decide to take a loan instead of a grant. And the way the loan is structured is typically 50 years. Bidwell, our last Bidwell project, was the first one that came with a 35-year term, and the 3% rate was really the floor for what would be considered to be market rate interest, so that it doesn't trigger itself as a gift either. And then the 10-year term, we typically don't give back, don't make debt service payments within the first 10 years, because that's how long the developer fee can be paid off. The IRS requires you to take up to 10 years to pay off the developer fee. So after year 10, those funds are paid. But in reality, you start stroking the loan in year 11 with $10,000, $15,000 payments, and then it really triggers up where it's paid off near the end.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I think that answers my question. I was just curious about that structure. That's nice. It was unfamiliar to me. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Carrie, any more questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, what about you, Arnie?
Just a comment. Great developer. We need this type of housing badly. I'm looking forward to it. And staff, great work.
Thank you, Ernie. And I just have also a question. I know, Stephanie, you said that, this doesn't totally deplete our housing trust fund, which is good. I'm just curious, obviously I'm supportive of this project. I've toured Bidwell Point, and it's very well done, and definitely supportive of St. Anton. I'm just wondering, obviously they're not the only builder of affordable units. So when people do approach the city, is it really just a first come first served basis? Is it up to staff discretion to find out? I know you have to do the pro forma, but is there some sort of mechanism by which we spread the wealth, for lack of a better term, and when we're looking at distributing those sewer credits and doing the loans and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so it's been kind of on a first, kind of looking at the whole development. We've been lucky that we have really great developers that are wanting to develop in the city, and repeat developers. So basically, it's kind of been on the, whoever is coming to the city with a project, and if they have a reasonable pro forma and we have the funds, we've been bringing it forward as a recommendation. Currently, we have a lot of interest in affordable housing, and obviously our funds are depleting. So it might be something to keep in mind as far as coming up with a different type of strategy. But we haven't had to. Some cities send out RFPs, and we haven't. I think we did that for the St. Anton Granite City project when we had the redevelopment agency, but since then we've just been kind of taking them in as they come.
Okay, but that fund, will get replenished as, for instance, houses built south of 50 and developments are approved south of 50?
Right, so that is the main source of how this fund will start to continue to increase. We have been collecting fees through the in lieu housing fees associated with the inclusionary housing ordinance. And since we've had such an uptick in development in the Folsom Plan Area and building permits pulled, we have been raising money that way. We also do get funds from new commercial development. So when a new commercial building is constructed, they pay a housing trust fund impact fee. We haven't had as much commercial development, so that fee has been just growing very slowly. And then we still have bond funds that have been available through the redevelopment agency, but they're depleting now, and we don't see those coming back.
Got it. Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Okay, Krista, please call the roll.
I texted you the phone number.
So we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Kozlowski?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Sheldon?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
And Aquino?
Yes, and thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Artie, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last item, please, Krista.
Your next item is item number 21, resolution number 10417, a resolution approving the draft transportation expenditure plan for the proposed Sacramento County 2020 transportation sales tax ballot measure. Presenting tonight will be Will Kempton, Executive Director of STA, and your PowerPoint presentation begins on page 865.
Welcome, Will. Thanks for hanging on.
Will, you may need to unmute your phone if you're there.
I am here, and I don't know why the mute popped back on, but it did. What I was saying was that your packet was very complete with information, the attachments from the resolution all the way through. There were two I wanted to call attention to in addition to the expenditure plan. One is the local projects of regional significance, which is $73.5 million for important projects to the city of Folsom, and then the attachment 4, which is benefits of the expenditure plan. It's just a white paper talking about the overall benefits of the plan. I am going to now move to page 866. Krista, if we could make that change. As your staff report indicates, you're being asked tonight to approve the transportation expenditure plan that was tentatively adopted by the SBA board on March 18th. You are not being asked to approve a tax initiative, and consideration of approval of the implementing ordinance and placement of a sales tax measure on the ballot will come later through action of the authority and the Board of Supervisors, and I just wanted to make that clear. With respect to building the plan, we've been doing outreach efforts over the past year and a half. We met with over 150 organizations and individuals. We conducted a public opinion survey of 1,500 Sacramento County residents in October of this past year. We've met regularly with our professional advisory group, which includes the public works directors and other senior staff from the county's 8 cities and local and regional recipient agencies. We held detailed meetings with an ad hoc committee of the SDA board on which Councilmember Howell sits, and we conducted 5 public board meetings to take input on the plan. So we really went out of our way to make sure that there was a lot of input and a collaborative effort in building the plan. Moving to page 867 and the process. The law, the Public Utilities Code, requires support of a majority of the city councils representing a majority of the county's incorporated population and the Board of Supervisors to approve the expenditure plan in the event of a sales tax proposal. The authority's Board of Directors has voted to present this expenditure plan for approval by the local jurisdictions in Sacramento County. This is the 5th city that I'm speaking to. 4 cities in the Board of Supervisors have already approved the plan. After consideration of the local jurisdictions, the Sacramento Transportation Authority Board of Directors must adopt an implementing ordinance by a 2/3 vote. That is scheduled for May 14th after we consider the process of going around to all of the cities and the county. And then the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors, by majority vote, places the measure on the ballot. And the measure must be approved by at least 66 2/3% of the electorate, 2/3 vote required to be enacted into law. So now I'm moving to page 868. This is an overview of the Sacramento County Measure A Transportation Sales Tax Expenditure Plan. You had a little bit more of a detailed overview in your packet, but this is in summary form. It's a measure that will raise approximately $8.4 billion over 40 years and funding 10 categories. And you can look down the left-hand side of the slide there and see the various categories. Of significance are the dollar amounts that are going to local streets and roads and to rail and transit. This plan, in a compromise effort, provides 60% of the total funding going for streets and roads. That's about $4.8 billion over the life of the program, and about just almost 40% going to rail and transit, about $3.2 billion. Moving on now to page 869. We asked our consultant, after we encountered a number of people questioning what do we get out of the measure. And so we tried to estimate by jurisdiction what we saw as the overall benefits, not just the direct allocations, which on this slide you see at the top, local streets and roads, the local street road repair, and the local projects of regional significance. But what are the other benefits? So our consultant did a rough overview of the remaining benefits, looking at the spreading of those dollars, for example, RT maintenance and operations, estimating based on the service to those jurisdictions served by RT. Bottom line is, for the city of Folsom, we estimate that the overall benefit for the 40-year period would be about $603 million. That works out to about $15 million a year on average. Now, moving to page 870, that slide shows local projects and programs that are eligible for funding with the direct allocation. You notice that this slide also includes the US 50 Empire Ranch Road interchange and the US 50 Oak Avenue Parkway interchange. The city of Folsom is in very good shape to be able to use these dollars because you have achieved comparatively a state of good repair for the local road system in the city of Folsom. That means that you have more flexibility in how you spend these dollars. For those cities that haven't done as well with taking care of their existing system, they must spend more money on maintenance of that existing system. And the city of Folsom will still be required to maintain that state of good repair as you go forward. But you will have more flexibility out of this program in being able to spend some of these dollars on the projects you see there under local projects and programs. Moving now to page 871. I wanted to say before I close here and take your questions that the authority is very mindful of the disruption and uncertainty caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the toll on individuals, families, the economy, our quality of life has been really unprecedented. However, our effort did begin with a goal of planning for the future of Sacramento County, and we believe we should continue to take the steps to move closer to that goal, not in spite of, but because of the current situation. And while at some point it may be necessary to set aside this effort, and we will be conducting further survey research this summer to determine public outlook, we do know that large-scale infrastructure programs can have a very positive impact on the economy. So over the next few months, we will be working with transportation stakeholders in Sacramento County to propose a package of improvements that can be implemented immediately if voters approve this measure. So in addition to the other longer-term benefits of the program that we've discussed tonight and that you have included in your packet, your approval of the expenditure plan this evening could contribute to retaining an option for helping to get the county's economy moving again once we have defeated this virus. So with that, Madam Mayor and members, we request your support for the resolution to approve the transportation expenditure plan for the proposed 2020 transportation sales tax ballot measure, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Will. Carrie, I'm going to let you have the first crack since you're our SPA representative. Do you have any questions or comments you want to add?
I have no questions. I just want to thank Will for being on the call and for all of his hard work on this, and my apologies for getting you in this mess in the first place. But Will did a really, really good job at presenting what has taken place over probably really the last 2 years. I think that most people in the region are on the same page. We had a very, very interesting teleconference meeting of the STA board at the end of last week, and this is vitally, vitally, vitally important to not only the city of Sacramento with regard specifically to the 2 interchanges, and it's important to note that with regard to Will's comments about the maintenance and rehab, we already have a PCI, which is pavement condition index, over, and we actually have the best pavement condition index anywhere in Sac County. So we can spend our money immediately, if this passes, on Empire Ranch Road and Oak Avenue interchanges. That's vitally, vitally important to the city of Sacramento. And as Will added, the construction activity is also very, very significant to this community, as we learned during the construction of Folsom Lake Crossing. So that was a significant economic impact in a positive way to the city of Folsom by the construction activity just by itself, separate from the construction of the bridge being completed. So I strongly urge all of my colleagues to support this 1,000%, and thank you all for your consideration. It's been a long road. We've worked very, very hard, despite last-minute monkey wrenches being thrown in by representatives of other jurisdictions. So, thanks.
So, Carrie, I just want to clarify for anybody who's listening or maybe will listen to this afterwards. Twice you said it's good for the city of Sacramento, but I'm sure you meant the city of Folsom.
No, it's good for the Sacramento region. It's absolutely 1,000,000% good for the city of Folsom. So if I misspoke, I apologize for that. But maybe it was some of the people in the region that were not being entirely cooperative, and that particular city came into mind.
Okay, just wanted to clarify for anybody listening. Roger, do you have any questions?
No, and I appreciate Carrie's comments, and from, every council meeting she's attended in the last year or so, she's harsh on this, and I think it's very important for the community, so I appreciate her quarterbacking it on our side, on the board, and I appreciate Will's, commitment to this, coming to the table on it, so I appreciate it, and I concur with her comments, so thanks.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay, thanks. Mike, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a couple of comments for, there are a couple of sections of the agreement that I take a little bit of issue with, but I don't want anybody to misunderstand my great, big thank you to Carrie for wrestling with this for so long, because all of us were elected to selfishly pursue Folsom's interests, and it's a real challenge to get into haggling with some of the other interests in the region, and I appreciate all the hard work that she's done. I'd also like to commend Will for having again, regional interests in mind, but his hometown somewhat of a priority. So I really like the overall work plan. Given the opportunity to make a couple of edits, though, I probably, in the implementation guidelines, would have not chosen to word item I exactly the way that it is, because the word impair is used relative to projects in the MTP. Shall not impair, and that is, without definition, pretty loose and an opening for people to challenge, in particular, some sections of the connector project, which, while the section in Folsom is going to be completed, it will be somewhat of a road to nowhere if we never arrive at an agreement for all the remainder of it that gets it to Highway 99. So that one I have a little bit of, a frustration with. And then the compliance with the MTP plan, which is Section J, again, sort of hits on the same idea, and it feels to me like an opening to challenge the connector project in some way. And then finally, and this one is just me having a frustration with the way that documents like this are written, item K simply restates that projects have to comply with CEQA, and restating something that is state law always seems extraneous and unnecessary to me. So with those things in mind, and only because I take a selfish view of these things when we read them, I again want to say thank you to Carrie, because this has been a tremendously complicated bit of work, and it's a great result for Folsom overall. But had I had a red pen, I would have tried to change those couple of things. So thank you very much, and Will,
Mike,
thank you.
Mike, I'll just respond to that comment, both of your comments about those items. Those were things that happened at the last minute, and when I referred to other elected officials in the region throwing monkey wrenches in at the last minute, we can talk about that privately. I won't name any names, but I uncovered the elephant in the room at the end of the last telephonic meeting, and there's probably a dartboard or perhaps a voodoo doll being crafted in my honor as we speak.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. I just wanted to, bring that to the discussion, because crazy shit like that happens. So anyway, thank you.
I'm sure you misspoke just now, Mike.
Yeah. Any questions, Ernie?
No.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. I also want to echo the thanks for Carrie for representing Folsom on this, and also Will for your hard work. I do want to say, though, while I'm going to support the expenditure plan, I do hope the STA board thinks long and hard about putting a tax measure on the ballot this November. I wasn't privy to whatever polling you did before. I think you said you're doing polling again, but whatever it was before in terms of the likelihood of this measure passing, we know it's decreased now because of what's going on with the coronavirus. And my big concern is that the more time something is on the ballot and is defeated, the harder it is to pass down the road. So I just, I hope that the STA board will really think about that. So if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion. Carrie, would you like to do the honors?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, we do have public comments on this item that we would like to read into the record.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we received 9 comments by email in advance of the meeting, so I will go through each of those. The first is from Jofil Borja from Sacramento Regional Transit, and he writes, "Thank you for considering SAC-RT's comments and documents to item 21. We strongly urge the Folsom City Council to adopt the Measure A Transportation Expenditure Plan. This is a progressive vision that promotes a healthier and sustainable future while supporting inclusive economic development and equitable access to all our communities. With Measure A, SAC-RT will improve service, frequency, and reliability of transit in Folsom. We will deliver key projects, including double-tracking the Gold Line while increasing express and 15-minute light rail service and potential connection to East Bidwell Boulevard. Residents can also expect enhanced on-demand microtransit, traffic light and signal optimization, and bus rapid transit in busy corridors like Iron Point Road. These projects improve safety, local congestion, and lower vehicle emissions while easing commute times for drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians. Alongside improvements to the US 50 corridor and local streets, daily commuters to downtown and other areas will experience less traffic and have clean and convenient travel options. Measure A is an economic stimulus, and SAC-RT's capital projects will bring thousands of jobs and growth to Folsom and the region. A strong transit system further attracts future housing and commercial development while helping support local business. SAC-RT will carefully utilize these funds to attract matching federal and state grants to double or triple the investments in the city. With this measure, SAC-RT will provide free transit for students and improve school connections. We will continue to make transit affordable with discounts for seniors and disabled riders. Folsom will see improved ADA and non-ADA paratransit trips and electric buses to the fleet. Thank you for your consideration and partnership. With your support, we will reinvest back to the community by building better transportation for Folsom for generations to come. Thank you. Your next communication is from Carter Knott, and Carter writes, "I am calling on Mayor Aquino to end the debate on the 40-year sales tax increase known as Measure A, proposed by the Sacramento Transportation Authority. It is irresponsible for elected officials to hold a vote on approving the draft of an increased sales tax while businesses and residents are struggling. Many are completely unaware of what Measure A is because we have higher priorities right now, such as staying alive. Put your energy into helping residents, not hurting them with another 40-year-long tax increase. Those who vote in favor of the draft will be held responsible for playing the game of politics while people are sick, losing their jobs, and dying." Your next correspondence is from Christina Hulick, and she writes, "I understand the council will be voting to approve the STA draft spending plan. Now is not the time to be pushing a 40-year tax increase while the public is distracted by COVID-19 and the related stresses on health and wellness and financial strains. Items of this gravity should be given the proper attention and opportunity for the public to engage. Please end the debate. Thank you for your leadership." Signed, Christina Hulick. Your next correspondence is from Jennifer Hodgkins, and she writes, "I'm requesting that Mayor Aquino reject the 40-year tax increase, Measure A, proposed by the Sacramento Transportation Authority. It's disingenuous to hold a vote regarding a policy that will have such a long-term impact when people have greater concerns. Residents are concerned for their livelihood, and rightfully so. The last thing they need to be surprised by is their local elected officials passing a tax increase. Please vote against this draft. Thank you, Jennifer Hodgkins." Your next correspondent is from Frank Thompson, and he writes, "I am urging the City Council to vote no on the proposed tax increase, resolution number 10417, on tonight's agenda. We are in the middle of a severe economic downturn, and we don't know how long it will last. So many people have lost their jobs and are facing evictions, foreclosures, and defaults on debt, whether now or in the not-too-distant future. For those who are still working, wages are vital and should go towards essential needs like groceries and health care, not the county's pet projects. This is the worst possible time to pass a tax increase when so many residents' pockets are hurting and things are only going to get worse. Please vote no. Thank you. Frank Thompson.
Hey, Krista, this is Councilmember Gaylord.
Yes?
Are those requests, do they express if they are Folsom residents or non-Folsom residents on the request?
We did not ask that, and they did not provide that information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Your next correspondence is from Stephen Fenaroli, and he writes, any tax increase that does not provide funds for a new road is misguided and not wise. Given the current state of the world under COVID and the economy taking a downturn, it is not the time to vote for a tax increase. Any later tax measure should include a connector to avoid downtown. Next is from Joshua Gendian, and he writes, I am writing to the Folsom City Councilmen to hold off on Resolution 10417 while our city focuses on the current COVID-19 pandemic. The Sacramento Transportation Authority's new $8 billion sales tax proposal comes at a time that we cannot afford any more burdens being placed on our small businesses and working families. Perhaps the STA should focus on best applying the revenue from the last sales tax increase that is in effect until 2039 rather than rushing to implement an additional sales tax. Why is it that we need a 40-year, $8 billion tax when we already pay high sales taxes to begin with? Folsom also does not get nearly a fair share of the newly proposed revenues, and even less money is dedicated to fixing the roads, our biggest transportation-related problem. At the very least, this proposal should be postponed to the next election cycle when our community is not trying to recover from the economic setbacks of the COVID-19 pandemic. Next is from Floyd Johnson, and he writes, I am calling on the Folsom City Council to at least postpone the debate over the new 40-year-long sales tax increase proposed by the Sacramento Transportation Authority, Resolution number 10417. It is inconsiderate and irresponsible to decide to move forward with putting this tax increase on the ballot. Now is not the time to pressure and alarm small businesses and local community members about higher sales taxes. Many throughout Folsom are already struggling without the added threat of a $8 billion tax increase on the November ballot. The most important need included in this proposal is street and road repair. However, not even a fifth of the new tax money would go to fixing the roads, and Folsom specifically will receive just 1% of the total new tax revenue to put towards this issue. Regardless of the functionality of this proposal, to address this in any fashion during the COVID-19 pandemic would be a disgrace to our community as our community seeks to mitigate and recover from this crisis. Best regards, Floyd Johnson. Our last comment this evening is from Robert G. Holderness, who writes, the proposed expenditure plan includes $485 million for, among other things, LRT extension to Elk Grove and Folsom. What exactly does RT have in mind as an extension to Folsom? And what is the likely time frame for such an extension? Signed, Bob Holderness. Madam Mayor, that concludes your public comments on this item.
Okay, so it sounds like the last letter had some questions. Will, did you want to answer those?
Sure, I can tell you that the project that Mr. Holderness referenced is part of the transit and rail congestion improvement projects included in the expenditure plan. There's some $485 million set aside in the expenditure plan to deal with transit, light rail extensions and upgrade of the Gold Line for express services.
I think Mr. Holderness is referring to the LRT extensions to Elk Grove and Folsom. The plan, according to the general manager, is to do the seed work and some of the project development work necessary to move that project along. This would be a project that would run off of the existing goal line, presumably up the south side of the 50 corridor into the Folsom Ranch area at East Bidwell. I'm speaking to Mr. Lee about it. He is very excited about the prospect of being able to advance this project work and be able to take advantage of any grants and federal transit programs that become available. And that's the hallmark of this program, is to leverage a significant amount of state, federal, and other sources of funding.
Thank you. And so, Councilmember Gaylord, just to answer your question a little bit, besides Mr. Holderness, of the other 8 names, I personally only recognize one of them, and I can tell you 100% for sure that he is not a Folsom resident. And I just want to be very clear what it is we are tasked with tonight. We are only being asked to approve the expenditure plan that would take, be in effect if STA and the County Board of Supervisors decide to move forward and if the voters pass this. So we do not have the authority to put this on the ballot, and that's not what we're being asked to do tonight. So are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just want to add a comment, and this is just kind of, Sarah, to reinforce your comment. This is about approving the expenditure plan. That is the list of items and projects that would be paid for if this gets on the ballot, and it's not up to the city of Folsom to put it on the ballot, and if it gets approved by the voters. So this is not the city council determining to put this on the ballot. This is approving the list of projects that is associated with Measure A getting on the ballot at some future point in time, and that decision will be made by the SDA board and the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. And for those that are really, really worried about what's happening today, this, the universe, I suspect, is going to look very, very different in October and November than it does today.
Okay, would you like to make a motion? Go ahead.
Yes, I would, enthusiastically.
And I'll second that motion. Go ahead, Kerry.
Yes, I will move the resolution.
Okay. Roger, you're seconding it?
Yeah, and I appreciate those comments, and that was my comment towards the public comment was just to ensure that we knew who was Folsom voters and not. And in general, this isn't action as far as the actual measure. This is just when things come to fruition, how do we intend on securing our realm? And Kerry put it quite bluntly and I think perfectly that this is planning and strategic planning. So I'll second that motion, and I appreciate everything that Will had also said on this.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Krista, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kozlowski?
Yes.
Sheldon?
Yes.
Gaylord?
Yes.
Howell?
Absolutely, yes.
And Aquino?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Will. Thank you for hanging on the line for us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members. Good night.
Okay, good night. Move on to city manager reports. Elaine, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to thank everyone in Folsom for what you're doing to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Please keep abiding by the county and state orders and stay home, except to access essential services or to serve as an essential worker. Our collective efforts are starting to bear fruit, as we are definitely seeing a continued flattening of the curve regionally and statewide. Please keep enjoying our parks and trails, which are open, but do so with proper 6-foot social distancing and by respecting and adhering to closures of playground structures, sports fields, and sports courts. Please continue to be vigilant with hand washing hygiene. You'll probably notice that we are pushing out a lot of messaging about wearing homemade cloth face coverings. The Centers for Disease Control announced that cloth face coverings, such as bandanas, t-shirts, or homemade cloth coverings, are now recommended for people leaving the house for essential activities, such as buying food or obtaining medication. The city of Folsom actually did this out ahead of the Sacramento County itself and most regional cities because we felt that people doing this was so important to stopping the spread of COVID-19. As you may know, face coverings can help prevent asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic carriers of COVID-19 from transmitting it to others. So if you don't have one yet, please get one or make one. There's even a video on our Facebook page on how you can make a homemade face covering and then wear it when you head out to the grocery store, to restaurants to pick up food, or to access health care. If you are a senior citizen or know a senior citizen who might need special assistance, we have established a special website, phone number, and hotline to help. Please visit our website for more information or call 916-461-6619 or write to seniораssistance@folsom.ca.us. On April 10th, I issued Emergency Order 03-20 related to the COVID-19 crisis. This emergency order allows for the 72-hour parking limitation on recreation vehicles, RVs, on city streets to be suspended from April 8th until further notice for first responders, including firefighters, law enforcement officers, medical personnel, and others, as long as they notify code enforcement by calling 916-461-6227, provide verification of their first responder status, and place a city-issued exemption permit on their front windshield. This allows for those first responders to have a place to safely isolate due to COVID-19 if desired. The order also mandates 6-foot social distancing for city employees reporting, non-public safety city employees reporting to work at city facilities, strongly encourages all city employees to wear cloth face coverings when they're engaging in essential services in their personal lives, and strongly encourages visitors to city facilities to wear face coverings. Please continue to visit www.folsom.ca.us/COVID-19 for the latest updates on Folsom's COVID-19 response. The Twin Lakes Foodlink Bank is running very low on food for the clients they serve. In fact, they only have about 1 month's worth of food right now. If your pantry is perhaps a bit more full than it usually is these days, please consider donating a bag or two of non-perishable groceries to Twin Lakes. Find out more about the food bank's operating hours at twinlakesfoodbank.org. Please remember that unlike many other cities, Folsom City Hall is still open for business, including our main customer service counter, as well as our planning and building functions. We do strongly encourage you to wear some type of mask or cloth face covering when you visit us. We look forward to seeing you. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, happy birthday to my very favorite Assistant City Manager, Jim Francis. That's all I have, Mayor.
Oh, wow, we didn't know him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, do you have anything? Mike, you have anything?
Oh, not that much. Just our SACOG meeting is this coming Thursday, so we'll have something to report there. And doing a very, very, very small and informal survey. There are a number of businesses doing carry-out food orders and carry-out beer particularly. Please continue to support them as best you can in spite of the stay-at-home orders. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie?
I mentioned this actually when I spoke to the police department a couple of days ago. With the relative lack of traffic, and again, my typical traffic report, but people are driving excessively fast. Just because there's not a bunch of cars in front of you does not mean the speed limit on Blue Ravine, as an example, is 65. It's still 45. So please drive carefully. And to those of you that are, let's just say, over shopping, please stop doing that. This will end hopefully in the relatively near future. And the over shopping is actually it's one of the things that's having an adverse effect on places like Twin Lakes Food Bank. There are food items that go unsold that are typically donated to Twin Lakes. But if people are over shopping and at the end of the day hoarding when they don't really need to, then, they're hurting those people that need to feed people that don't have the means to take care of themselves. So please be aware that that's important in our society right now, and think about your neighbors. With that, thanks, Sarah, for a great meeting, and good night.
Thank you. Roger.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, essentially, I have my Air Board meeting this week, actually on Thursday, so we'll be doing that remotely. It's funny to mention when we have these remote meetings, the Pledge of Allegiance remotely always makes me laugh, but still proud to do it, even if by myself in a room. I wanted to say, in 3 years of being on the council, I've never had to deal with this type of situation, and I just wanted to reach out and say to our staff, to Elaine, to all of her crew, well done. Like, you guys are really putting the residents forward and the safety forward. Council members Kaltowski and Aquino, we've delivered toilet paper and medication to seniors countless times, and it's humbling to understand what this position means, and I just wanted to give a big thank you to everybody in Folsom who's allowed me to serve. And when this time comes, and we're able to do that, so I appreciate that. And Mayor Aquino, thank you for putting on a good show here remotely and on a conference call. So thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you. Ernie, you're up.
No, I had nothing really to say, but I want to wish everybody, the staff, all the employees, all the town, as much security and safety as they can have. As you know, sitting here, I do see the TV often, not much else to do, and it is very scary. So I wish you all to be as safe as you can until we get this over. Thanks.
Thank you, Ernie.
Brad, and I just wanted to add happy birthday to Jim.
Okay. Nothing new happening with LAFCO. April meetings canceled, May meetings canceled. We're hoping to do something in June. Just want to echo the comments, thanking all of our staff and everybody in the community. It's been really heartwarming to see the sidewalk chalk messages and people donating food and volunteering to make masks and all that kind of stuff. So really good to see the community come together. So happy birthday, Jim Francis. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.